All right, hello. It is OSnap here, and I am going to quickly be going through the best of season one, in my opinion, right? So, right, what is the best stuff, right? So I got tier list Shinobi cards, Ninjutsus, weapons, already kind of laid out. I'm going to quickly running through them. Also, things like best content, just other best of stuff that I come kind of think of here. So, first. Shinobi card tier list, right? Season one comes down. What is my tier list for Shinobi cards? All right, let's start with the Ninjutsus Pro. Why is it down here? Um, a lot of minimal value stuff that kind of comes out of this. Poor synergies with the weapons, right? We have morph, right? We have two weapons that can force morph. Most of the time, you're not actually playing against anyone who's just chilling as an object anyway, so not getting much value out of it. Two of them kind of mix really weird together, right? One's expanding the range and one's giving you movement speed when you're out of the range. So weird synergies. Discerning Eye, most overrated card in existence. The movement speed buff is very minimal and actually doesn't actually improve really drone rotations too much, or getting to one place or another. And it's a 4 cost to even have it in the first place, right? So again, overall poor utilization that doesn't give much value and actually costs quite a bit to use. Master of Change, there's like one good assist code on it. The rest are pretty meh. And even the one assist code again is pretty overrated. Double parry. Is pretty solid if you're getting into a ton of parries, but again, there's things that can interrupt out of your parry, right? You always can reach. Sometimes you're screwing up your team with a lot of parries, so sometimes this isn't that great to use. Again, situational card, right? That's why it's kind of in the middle. Wall shooter, even more like really situational, right? There's not a whole lot of weapons that it's that great on, and even then, it's not even a must have, right? A lot of people are just going to prefer with semis, especially for teams, because then it also enables your team as well as enables you a little bit. So again, wall shooter really situational, probably will drop off a lot further in season two. Again, stick to the mid for the situational use cases. Sudden burst. Basic part of the game is parries, right? Obviously, this gives you help with parries. It also gives you safety with having a second sudden or S burst available to you in case you get caught out. Particularly useful at the beginning of the game. Again, more useful on stuff that has low health, right? So if you're playing like a trick ball class or something like that, and you get caught in a spinner trap, you know it's really nice having a second S burst to potentially get out of that. Lifesteal and defensive stuff. So a lot of times defensive boosts are pretty good in this game. The lifesteal is actually quite a lot, right? So if we compare it to the lifesteal, this gives you significantly more. Obviously, this gives you different kinds of safeties, right? But lifesteal very effective. Gum guard, again, something you do constantly throughout the game. Typically, when you use something constantly throughout the game, and it gives you benefits with doing that general action throughout the game, is going to be pretty good. So good in pretty much every scenario with every weapon. This is a usable card. Starting dash, right? Quicker big weapon, defensive stats, speed stats. Again, speed stats aren't that great, but the defensive stats, right? For pretty significant time after respawning, right? 25 seconds. So this will be useful on anything really. Less useful on things that don't rely on their big weapon, but either way, still a very useful card to have. And with semi-master, right? Gun binding is extremely effective in this game. This also, even if you're not looking at doing gun binding, hit stun, right, can bait people into accidentally using an S burst when they're trying to blow a bubble and you hit them with this, right? Everything really good about this card. By far the best card in the game. All right, next, Ninjutsu tier list. I don't have anything as D. I think they all have their certain uses. Dragon C. Its charge time is really fast, but its utility is lower than something like a tornado, for example, right? It just does less damage and basically comes out slower than that. Now you get more of them to compensate, but you can get ninjutsus really fast if you actually understand what you're doing when you're charging them. So that's why Dragon's in C tier. All right, I don't think anything's like bad, which is why Dragon's not D tier. But I didn't want to put everything in B. Realistically, I could probably move Dragon to B, but this is more or less to spread out, right? Again, not terrible, but just underwhelming compared to some of the other ones. Henshi Muyo, bottom of B, it's just an inflexible ninjutsu. This is good for competing for E-Pawn bonus, but that's it. It's not a good score generation ninjutsu because you will get, again, if you can only hit people with it and it's literally just a one-shot kill, this is just guaranteeing you get the bare minimum bonus, which is plus 100. When we look at my points video to understand why ninjutsu killing people is suboptimal in terms of points. So one that can only do that is going to be lower on the point generation. Righteous Blade, I have this again kind of smack dab in the middle. It's versatile use in terms of getting epons and drones. Again, it's got some setbacks in terms of getting hit, and you can die, so it's a little bit higher risk, higher reward ninjutsu, so kind of put in the middle for that, as well as it nerfed some of the timers on it towards the end. Rocket, really good at control, just free give me if you throw it at a drone for basically getting points. Generally, free give me for points are pretty good uses. So we're going to put that in B. Again, these are all pretty close. I would say these bottom four are pretty close. Tornado comes out really fast. Obviously for BR, insta-killing drones really good even for teams. Just having overall drone control of something that comes out fast and does a decent amount of damage is going to be really good. Mixer, by far the best team ninjutsu in the game and still pretty good for BR. Nothing else in the game allows you to full take a big drone while doing something else on the map, either taking another drone or going for an epon or two, all at the same time, right? I mean, that just sounds absurd because it is absurd. It's the best ninjutsu in the game, and you can charge it reasonably quickly on par with a lot of these other ones, right? Barring, obviously not at the same level of like Dragon or anything like that, but cool. And now for the weapons, obviously ninjutsu kind of play a role into these because weapons are stuck with a certain ninjutsu. The bottom tier, I have the sound hammers. They're just not that flexible, right? They're not weapons that you're going to have the best time if you just hop in solo and play, right? You can fit around with some team play with them, but again, you gotta learn to play around them, right? So not very flexible where you can just kind of slot these in or anything like that. So that's why they're kind of going to be lower here. Mellow, not that bad. The problem with it is sonar, and not because I think sonar, well, I do think sonar is not great compared to other gum shots, but it's even worse because a lot of people don't know. If you put sonar down, that counts as gum, and Utsemi's instant explode an enemy gum. So that means people can instant explode their Utsemis within this, the sonar area or the sensor area. So they don't actually need to hit you accurately with the semis, and they can get the explosion radius off on you easier. So that's kind of a knock against the gum shoot, even more so than it already was. Next, I have the drill classes here. I like the drill classes, but again, I had Dragon as kind of the lowest ninjutsu. Again, not by a ton. And I also had Wall Shooter that I think Wall Shooter is going to start to fall off pretty hard with Bubble. I think Utsemi plus Bubble combos are really nice. Utsemi plus Grenade, again, all these options that have really quick gum shots combined with Utsemi are good. But yeah, I just need a kind of a little bit of more. The main problem with this is even if you go for the Wall Shooter option, you don't have a gap closer the same way as something like Katana does. So that's kind of where the corn slips a bit. Drill's higher than corn because it fits an interesting role of being able to quickly take drones with Righteous Blade, so it can kind of fill in some gaps if you're not running a hammer, for example. Shout out to Neo, who does this as well with 3 katanas and a drill. So it kind of fills in some gaps there, as well as Grenade is a really, really good gum shoot. So kind of gets the nod upper corn for that. Trick Ball, really good support, really good control over an area of the map. Again, not too much of a nod over these two. I'd say it's pretty close. Again, if we look at the ninjutsu tier list, Rocket's kind of B, right? It's kind of up there with the other ones, right? I don't love, Rocket as like a top tier ninjutsu. I mean, if we're looking up here, you'll see most of these have features of the ninjutsu that I put above Rocket. And I just don't think the other stuff makes up for it enough, right? I don't love balloons as a gum shoot. Again, that's more about control of gum shoot than being an aggressive gum shoot. Now A tier. Scroll has Mixer. That's pretty much why it's here. To be honest, because while shurikens are okay with wall shoot if the tracking is better, right? They did change some things with the tracking, and then plus it's a little bit different going for Utsemi kunai combos. Because they don't come out as fast as like a bubble or a grenade or a web shoot, anything like that. So it's pretty much solely here because Mixer is that good that it can cover some of the gaps, especially in teams that it would normally have if it didn't have Mixer, right? If it didn't have Mixer, it would 100% be in VRC. Just being fully candid about that. Skates here because it's efficient. Even though it has Tenchi Muyo, and Tenchi Muyo I put pretty low, it's good at what it does, right? So you can farm drones and you can compete with E-Pawn bonuses, right, using Tenchi Muyo. Now it should be lower point generation overall than the Sushi Hammer, right? And you have a little bit more defensive options using the web. So in general, I would refer this one as the more defensive option and the safer of the option. But in terms of higher point ceiling, I would go Sushi Hammer. We'll get to that more when we talk about it. Katana, bubble plus tornado, good gumshoot, good ninjutsu combo. Has gap closer, right? I don't think has to run wall shooter. I think we'll see more Utsemi katanas only, especially with new cards, kind of making flexibility. Of course, they could touch Utsemi as well and nerf that as well and give different options. But overall, just a solid class that can kind of do a bunch of things decently well. It doesn't like excel at anything, well, except I guess gap closing. But yeah, other than that, just an overall well-balanced weapon, as you would expect from the default weapon. Spinner, good range, does have web and tornado. Again, another solid gumshoot plus a solid ninjutsu. Has really nice confirms where you can, one, right, just the looping with your Y and then cancel, or it can, one, bait out a lot of S burst, and it can also just full combo some of the weaker or less HP ones like other yo-yo spinners, trick ball, and mellows. It can also do kind of the special loop into tornado as well, or into ninjutsu. Again, not going to give you the most points, but it is a guaranteed kill as well, so it has a lot of options like that. Yo-yo, really good, really good for teams, right? Again, has Mixer. Don't love balloons, but Mixer makes up for this having a better gumshoot, in my opinion. Obviously, same attacks as the spinner would have. And then Sushi Hammer, right? Obviously, this has been very good for BR. It's also good for teams. Like I said, generally will give you a higher point loadout because grenades allow you to get more gum binds off in more flexible situations. Yeah, so it's able to do some of those things to generate more points. But again, you will not have the kind of E-Pawn bonus going for it just because Tornado's not a one-shot thing, but it'll also give you more drone control and generate more points off that ninjutsu. So kind of a trade-off there that you'll get more points outside the bonus more likely than you would with the Skate Hammer. All right, and with that, that is going to be my very quick tier list. Just kind of going everything for Season 1 Ninjala that I can think of that, would need a tier list for it. And yeah, if you want to kind of early look at the meta, all right, tomorrow, Season 2 drops. We'll continue talking about the meta, testing everything, labbing everything, the Shinobi cards, as well as the new weapons and ninjutsus, etc. Feel free to stop by my stream, right? We'll be starting bright and early tomorrow morning if you want a quick heads up look at some of this stuff. Otherwise, you can wait until some of the content's up on YouTube for me discussing the meta and where I think the game's going to go with everything new introduced. With that, right, see you guys in Season 2.